Shut up.
What is happening, friends of CCP Podcasting? Welcome back to Beyond the Bel Live. I am Chris Page, and it is, if you're joining us live, it's Tuesday evening. If you're joining us on replay, it's someday that ends with a Y, but we're glad you're here regardless. For those joining across all of our platforms, if you're live on Twitch, YouTube, or X, hope you guys are doing well. We've got a fantastic conversation coming in on deck. But before we get there, guys, it was just a little over a week ago. We crowned our first heavyweight champion. Dallas Dash at Chapter 4 Legends Rise was the man who survived the 8-man elimination tournament to be our inaugural heavyweight champion. That event can be found over at CCP Podcasting on YouTube. Just check under our live events tab. You'll see chapters 1, 2, 3, and 4 all ready for you to take a peek at, because the road to chapter 5 is already underway, less than 2 weeks away. Out of the frying pan and into the fire is Dallas Dash, as he will be defending our heavyweight championship in a fatal four-way against Samael Falsey, against the good guy JDX, and from the National Wrestling Alliance, former national champion and television's champion. He's big, he's strong, he's Mims, and he will be in the house as well. Just under 2 weeks away, guys. Tickets available at ccppodcasting.com. Look under the store tab, and it'll get you right where you need to be. This is in collaboration with One Division Pro, guys. They're out of New York City. They're going to be making the trip down to Florida. They've got a couple of matches that they're going to put on as well, including the 1DP Heavyweight Championship. Roachy Roach, making his Florida debut, is going to be in the house. This is going to be a fun time. We've got a lot of friends coming from all over the United States to come and hang out with us, and it should be and will be an event that you'll be talking about, I guarantee you. First of all, let's go over to our chat. Shout out Shannon. I see you, and I see everyone that's loading in. If you have questions for our guests, go ahead and drop them. We'll get them worked in throughout the course of the conversation, and let's get to the man himself. Several weeks ago, I had the opportunity to be out in Southern California, a part of Chapter 3, Good Vibrations. It was a weekend-long party of Southern Cal wrestling at its finest. We were at Millennium Pro on Friday night. Our event was Saturday afternoon. We took the trip down to San Diego on Sunday because I had to be there. I had to see it. I had to experience it. We had been watching Primal Pro Wrestling for almost a year up to this point, but to be able to step foot inside the Primal compound was something that was special. It was an afternoon and an evening that I will not forget, because there was so much cool things happening. There were so many great people to meet, and my guest today was one of them. We have seen him in the role of commissioner within the realm of Primal Pro Wrestling, but that's not where his journey starts. We're going to get the whole kit and caboodle right here today with a pillar of the SoCal wrestling scene. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to Beyond the Bel Live, the one and only Mr. Orion Odyssey. How are you, brother?
I am doing great. So thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to have a conversation with you. So the work that you're doing to spread the good word of great wrestling throughout the country is much appreciated, and we're honored at Primal that you've made us one of your stops that you're paying attention to.
Oh, man, no, I tell everybody who comes in, I don't pick you, you pick me, because the audience is what drives us, right? I'm a firm believer of listening to our audience. And to be fair, Primal came across my radar through Danny Devine. We had stumbled into Millennium Pro, and I struck up a really good relationship with him really quickly, very like-minded to a degree. And we're just talking, and he said, you know, if you really like what we're doing, check out Primal Pro. They're in San Diego. They explained that there's a really good relationship there, and I was like, no problem. We'll go ahead and do that. And I'll be damned, dude. Like, the first show that we tuned in on the road to Summer Surge. So it was a really good time to kind of check in and see what was going on. Because at that point, Fresh was the forever champion, had this great thing with Redondo. You had the Pump and the Brothers Divine. There was several other really cool pieces of business that was going on there. And it was just tremendous to see. So you guys brought us and drew us in. We were just thankful that you guys were so close. So when we came out for Chapter 3, I didn't have one roster to tap into. I had two. And what's crazy about that is I made the drive to San Diego and back.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
So
that's dedication.
I legitimately, when I made the drive down and walked in the Primal compound, I said hello, shook hands, made my pleasantries. I went up to Draven, I went up to Miggy, I went up to Fresh, I went up to J2, and said, I respect you guys that much more because this is almost a 7-hour round trip just to go and
Mhm.
wrestle maybe 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes, maybe whatever, however that looks, whatever that looks like, whatever the show calls for. Dude, that's dedication. I made that drive once. They make it every week, but
Yeah, me too.
it's wild, man. And I never would have thought that, starting a platform on independent wrestling would turn into what a gratifying piece of business, to be fair. We have that opportunity every week to put new work from new people in front of a new audience, and somebody's going to like it. It's just a matter of who. And our audience said, we want more, and I said, okay. So that was one of those. I went up to
Nice.
I hit up J2 after the fact, and I was like, hey man, do you mind if we watch this while you're live? Because that is a pretty big, situation, right? Like if companies will let us do that while they're, and he said, yeah, no problem. I was like, dope, even better, because it enables us to push the product as it's happening right now. Like, oh, you really want right here, go to their YouTube page, et cetera, et cetera. Sorry, that's my rant. I didn't mean to use it that quick into the show.
Oh, no problem. No problem. No, it's on purpose. We have a live stream. Our purpose at Primal Pro Wrestling is we want our wrestlers, our commentators, everyone to be ready to step onto any stage at any moment. And being able to be confident live and to make choices live and have that weight on your shoulder that, oh my gosh, I've got to do this right. It's part of the learning process. And I'm just so proud of our guys and girls at Primal for how they've been stepping up to the plate.
Well, yeah, we're going to talk a lot about that, I'm sure, as we get into this conversation, man. But like, I'm gonna treat you like I treat anybody. And before I even get into when you got into wrestling and what drew you into to stepping in professionally, I start with fandom. I like to know
Oh
where
yeah.
it really all began. So, what drew you into professional wrestling? What was going on? What were you watching? What happened?
Well, I think for everyone in my generation, WrestleMania 3. I
Correct.
was a young pup at the time, and Ricky the Dragon Steamboat was the guy who just immediately caught my attention, and he had one of the best matches of all time against Macho Man Randy Savage. And at the time, I was so young, I didn't realize how good Randy is my answer when anybody asks, like, "Hey, who's the best professional wrestler of all time?" And to me, it's Macho Man. I've hated him with all my heart. I've cheered him with all my heart. Just rest in peace to the Macho Man. That was an incredible match, and yeah, that's where it really started to me. Them and I think the British Bulldogs as well was the other. British Bulldogs were my tag, and Ricky was my guy, and Hulk as well. But those were my original three, and it's really funny as you mature and as you watch more. The British Bulldogs' best opponents was the Hart Foundation,
Hmm.
and I was just too young to realize this the artistry of Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart, and yeah, how can you not be a fan if those are the matches you're watching starting out?
I've got a Steamboat story for you because I'm not sure if you're familiar or aware or not, but I was on the indie scene from 1999 to '05, '06. Yes, I was on the indie scene. This has nothing to do with seeing or running into him in a professional capacity. In the real
Mhm.
world, I have
Mhm.
always been in maintenance and have been a supervisor over communities, et cetera, et cetera. When NXT was running out of Orlando, he came into
Mhm.
our property looking for an apartment at like 5:55. We closed at 6. And so I let him handle his business and I hung out. Like I waited till
Mhm.
like 6:30, 6:45. And on his way
Mhm.
coming out of the office, I stopped him and I said, "Hey, Mr. Stammer, before he could say anything, he was like, "Yeah, you can. I'll take a picture with you." I said, "Well, I don't want a picture. I just want to know what was it like to wrestle Flair and Savage and all these different guys. Like I just named a list, and he had this deer in headlights look. He's like, "You don't want to." I was like, "No, I just want to know what was what was this like for you back then because times are different." And I had like 10 or 15 minute conversation with him about wrestling Flair 3 times and what that meant for business at that point in time and what did
Mhm.
it was just like a mind-blowing conversation. So to know that Steamboat is what drew you in as a fan initially or a piece of
Oh
it, and it's just a
yeah. Oh yeah.
connection. I don't ever know how I connect with people, but it's like damn, like, and I still have that picture. We did end up taking a picture, and I'm in a work uniform. It was whatever. But he was like, I want to take a picture. I was like, cool, no problem. But we did. We took one. But that's dope. I love the fact
Hmm.
that Steamer's where it starts for you because he was so good. And it's not that he was underrated or anything like that, but I don't think
Hmm.
that people really realize nowadays how good he was back in his time and what he was able to
Oh my
accomplish.
gosh. Well, the selling and the timing, be able to have different matches with different people. As a funny side story, when I was first training, I kept doing my arm drags like Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, and the guys I was wrestling with said, "You're killing me. You've got to stop that," because he had that nice high,
Deep, yeah.
nice, beautiful arm drag. And so, yeah, I usually don't force guys to do that when I work with them, but yeah, I mean that I don't think. I don't know, maybe not the most beautiful, but got to be in the top five of beautiful things in professional wrestling. Any Ricky the Dragon Steamboat arm drag. It is just, I mean, it's a flip. It's beautiful, and it's like, no, you're going over. I've never seen one and been like, oh, okay, he's getting help there. He's tossing him. So,
Oh, it's good stuff, man. It's good stuff. At what point in time, you talked a little bit about training, but when does that intersect with you? When do you really go from fandom to like watching and paying attention to, all right, I'm going to try this? What's it? And how did you break in?
oh yeah, yeah, I got started after most people retire. The way that life worked. When I was a fan, it was the time I literally am a contemporary of Rey Mysterio Jr. He literally, he went to Montgomery High School down here in Chula Vista. I was at Hilltop. We graduated the same year. I didn't know him or anything like that. But when I was watching a fan, there were no schools. You had to be like, you had to go down to Mexico, and I didn't realize that. And obviously Ray had the family connection, so uh, it was about yeah, about 10 years ago, probably about 10 years ago, I was doing acting and I was doing stunts, and I was in a short film with another stuntman who was a professional wrestler, and he had a group called Super Awesome Showdown, which was kind of like Chikara. It was pro wrestling, but everything was production value. Like it was full of people like me who had an acting background or a video background, and so we would have every single match had a story, everything had a video package, and so on and so forth. And so he I should shout out his name. His name is Mason Zediger. He is Count Vlad Tempest from Space Romania, and so everything's over the top. And he basically said he had this, and I was like, well, I'm not going to go and just get beat up, but if you ever train anyone, you've seen me do stunts, I can do it. I would love to train. And so yeah, he needed a henchman, and so he called me up, and I insisted to go to like at least one training. So I went to one training, and first time he saw me, he said, "Hey, can you catch a suicide dive?" And I said, um, "Not yet, but if you train me, I can, no problem." And so that was my intro. And so I worked with them for about 6 months or so, and then it wasn't a formal wrestling school. So it was guys who Mason was trained by Rey Mysterio Sr., and he also many of the people were trained by a former NWA heavyweight champion, the Colorado Kid, Mike Rabata.
Hmm.
And um, so yeah, so I was getting training from them, and it was a lot of like, well, I don't know if this will work out for you. So it was kind of like the Princess Bride, where it's like, well, I don't know, you didn't kill anybody today, so I guess you can come back next week. and
Hmm.
uh, and yeah, after that, I trained for about 6 months, and um, yeah, I pitched the Orion Odyssey character, and which was nerve-wracking because everything was story based. So it's not like your typical wrestling thing. So you had to have a story, you had to have that. I pitched the story of Orion Odyssey, and everybody was quiet in the booking meeting. And then out of nowhere, one of the guys just said, "Oh yeah." It's just like, woo, okay, I'm gonna get a shot. And so yeah, so I got to work with them. I got to work for them a few years, and in the midst of that, when it comes to San Diego, SoCal Pro has been around for like 20 years.
Yeah.
Great guys, but they're in Northern California. So as Super Awesome Showdown was ending, that is when like the precursors to Primal started to open up. And so yeah, so that's so I went from, working and unfortunately backyard trained. I mean, it was what was available to me, into like a more formal wrestling environment. So I've been very fortunate to have been trained by B-Boy. I've been trained by him. I've gone to be trained by J2, of course, and Mike Hopkins, who are
Fantastic.
contemporaries of mine. Incredible. Jordan Cruz, I have to give a huge shout out to him. He's amazing to train with. I've even Tito Escondido for a bit, and then I've gone to train with SoCal Pro as well, with Matthias and Anthony Idol. I'm one of those guys who I I have a full-time job, and I got started after most people have retired. So I've just been collecting wherever I
Okay.
can,
Well, see,
collecting as much as I can, trying to learn as much as I can. So, yeah, so I feel beyond blessed on what I've gotten to do. So I don't get to do it as much as I want. I desperately wish I had my college soccer athlete body that I did when I started, but I do the best I can, and my focus is always how do I make the show go well? What can I provide that's going to help, not just myself, but how do I get the other people on the show over? And I think that's why I've gotten the opportunities I have, is that I'm very focused on the show. I'm very focused like on just what do you need me to do?
mhm.
So and if I get to shine, awesome, I'll take that. But whether I need to be a face or a heel, if I need to be a commissioner or a commentator, you know, I am game to help out however I can.
Well, that's the name of the game, really. And that's our when I say our, it's the platform. When somebody ever comes to me, they're like,
Mhm.
"Hey, what's up? Oh, how can I help?" What when I walk in
Mhm.
somewhere, if I walk into, and I'm notorious for just showing up at live events and just walking in and saying, "Hey, well, how can I help?" Like, what? Yeah, I didn't stutter. Like, I mean, I have my own cameras, I got my own shit, but how can I help you? What do you need? Do you need somebody to set up chairs? You need somebody to, like, I'm not opposed. I don't care. I think our goal on our side of the equation is to always help and always find out how to help. And something that you said just a second ago that I always tell the younger generation when they're in this chair and they're sitting down there having conversations with me. We watch wrestling all over the world. We have an international platform. We have an international base. It's unreal to see where we're at and where we started and how quick it all happened. But one thing that I always strive, and I've seen it out of the most successful guys out there, is continuing the education. It's not like when I got into the business, like I said, and this was '99. I had to knock on doors. It was,
Mhm.
and I had to knock for 6, 8, 9 months before somebody opened up and said, "Okay, we'll give you a shot." And even then, it's rough. It wasn't. It's
Mhm.
not. But we didn't have the same opportunities that are out here now. If you fast forward to 2026, there are so many reputable places that are open and out there for people to go and learn from, and to be able to take all of this information, because you can be trained by some of the best, but everybody's going to teach something a little bit differently. There's going to be a different thing
Mhm.
that you can pick up along the way, and it's invaluable at the end of the day. If you the more minds that you can learn from, the better. And with you saying that you got a jump on this after most people retired, what led to that? What was the obviously I would imagine family, odds and ends that led to a late start, but
Mhm.
I'll remind you of something that I also tell other older, I say older guys, but when they come in, I'm in my early or mid 30s and just getting started, blah blah blah. Diamond Dallas Page didn't get his first run till he was 36 or 37 years old, and then he went
Mhm.
for another eight 8 years on TV, and then another 4 or 5 with TNA after the fact. So he had a 10-year, 11-year run at 37, 38 years old. So prime isn't what
Mhm.
it used to be for people. I would say our age. I'm 44, so I'm right
Mhm.
there, right? So like
Mhm.
it's a different game now, especially with guys taking care of themselves. But you getting in late, what did lead to that?
Well, like if I have a chance, I got to grab it. I've always been one of those people who like, you got to go for it. You live once. You got one chance at
Yep.
this whole thing. And like, and so, even to ask like Mason, when he said that, I mean, and you are absolutely right about knocking on doors and it being rough. I mean, I was not joking when it was like, hey, look, I'm not going to go to get beat up. It's like, when I met them, I I was married to my beautiful wife Corey. We had our daughter who was only like 1 or 2, so it was like, I went in like, I don't know how to put it. I went in knowing that this is a wonderful opportunity, but if anybody was going to ask me to do anything I didn't feel comfortable doing, then the answer was going to have to be no. And I think that's one of the things that I see some young guys get into trouble with is like they feel like they have to do stuff, and it's just like, if nothing else, what I've learned in this life is like, yeah, you might not get that particular opportunity again, but if you work hard and if you're training and you're open, there will be other opportunities that come up. If someone's asking you to do something that you feel uncomfortable with or is dangerous, it's just like, dude, what are you what are you doing? Especially with all the great things, like all the schools like Primal now. You can
Hmm.
go places where we have insurance. Not only have we been doing it for years, but we've had people move on into like the WWE ID program, New Japan Pro Wrestling. There are places to go now. You don't have to you don't have to take huge chances like you used to have to.
Sure.
So
And I'm a proponent of that too. I tell guys today, you can always say no. And
Mhm.
if anybody gives you shit for saying no, something's that you're not comfortable with, then you probably don't need to be in that locker room because they don't have your
No.
best interest at heart. And I'm a very firm believer too of intentions. If I come across companies today that want to hit me up or, hey, can you do this? Do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Because it happens every day. I'm selective. Yeah, let me just see what you have going on first before I commit to anything, and I'll start watching and I'll start looking and I'll start if something doesn't sit right, no man, I'm good. We'll keep on moving. Doesn't mean I'm gonna slam you. I'll still support you, but I'm not gonna.
Mhm.
There's support will only go so far, as I'll put it that way. Will I make a trip?
Oh,
Probably
absolutely.
not. Well,
Yeah. And
you know,
it's so yeah, it's so tough, like as well, because when you're starting out, it's like, oh, I've got to work everywhere. And there's some truth to that. But, you can't, you know, I saw who was it, Hammerstone. I think it was Hammerstone who was talking about it's like, look, if you're 7, 8 years in and you're just going to these bad shows and just doing whatever they ask and damaging your body however they want, it's like you gotta think about it. You gotta figure out, what is it worth to you and should you be doing that type of stuff. So
I
so yeah, it can be a tough balance.
I tell these guys all the time at our live events, straight up, wherever we're at. Number one, have fun. Number two, don't do anything stupid. And by stupid, don't do anything that's going to get you hurt. So if you get hurt, you're not doing yourself any favors. You're not. And at the end of the day, I need you healthy because if you're on the show, I have people watching everywhere and they're watching for a reason. So like you getting hurt hinders you from getting work and I need for you to get work. That's why you're on the show. You know what I mean? Like it's
Absolutely.
it's just one of those things. I don't like people doing anything crazy or stupid. It kind of bothers me a little bit too. It's just like,
Yeah.
guys, come on. You get one body. Just one.
Yeah. Well, and ultimately, it doesn't help the show. It doesn't help your insurance because I'm sure, reputable people, it's like you have insurance and things like that. So, yeah, it can be a dance because it is a dangerous thing, but it's dangerous enough without taking completely stupid chances. So,
Absolutely.
uh,
Absolutely. When you talked about pitching Orion Odyssey,
Mhm.
what did
Oh
that
yeah.
pitch look like? And I venture to say when with a theater and acting background, I mean, it's got to
Mhm.
be I'm not going to say it's going to be easier but it's going to be you've got to have a better hold on creating a character or creating something of this nature because this is what you've been doing literally. So
Mhm.
What's the pitch look like? And for our audience who don't know the backstory of Orion Odyssey, let's hear it.
Absolutely. So the character Orion Odyssey is a lost warrior. He's a man who floats through space and he's visited by an angel who tells him where to go and what he needs to do. He thinks he knows this angel, but he doesn't know anything about his story. And so he goes through. Also, when it came to the physicality, like I made sure to keep it within myself, as you're pitching the character and what you're wanting to be.
Mm.
Like I was athletic, but I wasn't super athletic. So I was explaining like the type of hero he was. He was kind of more of like an Indiana Jones than a Bruce Lee. It's like, yeah, he can punch people out, but he's going to get punched a few times too. And the draw of the character isn't that he's so much better than everyone else, but he just never gives up. He will never, he will, win or lose. He's gonna go until he can't go anymore. And we had this, and the whole arc, which we didn't get to finish, but the whole arc was that Orion was a servant of a basically a demon that would destroy worlds. And so what would happen is that eventually uh, we would find out that Orion's angel was actually his wife, who was still being held by this demon, and eventually he would have to fight for her survival. And so it helps to have an absolutely gorgeous wife named Corey who could play my angel. And so she did a couple videos for us, but yeah, she didn't have any want to, and I didn't want her to get any training. And so we had a couple ideas. We didn't get to go all the way through, but that was enough for them to kind of grab it. Was
Yeah.
kind of enough to say, okay. And and again, coming from the time it was, so like my main character is Orion Odyssey, but also COVID was really rough on me. I caught it several times. I've never had the wind since then. And so I got to move into, I think Sweet Robin Shaw.
Mm-hmm.
And so I done Orion Odyssey. I had gone to do him for a couple years, and it was going great. I got to wrestle Ray Rosas at MPW, which was such a highlight. And then Robin Shaw was one of the main trainers at what would become Primal, and he had a particular wrestler who was very good, um, named Coach Mac Wilkes, who
Mm-hmm.
looked just like a high school gym coach. And so Shaw called me up and he was like, "Hey, um, could you put together?" Because he knew my health issues that I was having. But he said, "Hey, could you put together a principal character to be a manager for Mac Wilkes?" And so in my head, it was hilarious because in my head, I was like, oh my God, I hate school characters. Like I was thinking of ones in the past, and I'm like, they never worked for me. And I was just like, oh, it just doesn't. But this was one of those cases where it was like, oh, I'm being thrown a bone. And, don't do anything stupid, don't do anything against your morals. But the answer is yes in pro wrestling. And so it's not, so even if the idea isn't the one you wanted at first, or you like, maybe you don't see it at first. My job, I feel like as an actor, because that's your job as an actor, is how do I bring this character to life? How do I do this in a way that's interesting, that people will want to watch or pay their movie for a ticket, or to watch it online? And so I came up with a character named Principal Truman S. Steele, and I had a blast getting to be uh, coach's manager for a little bit. And I've just and that principal character has taken a life on its own, and I'm always going to be thankful for my time with Mac Wilkes. He is, oh my God, he's one of those wrestlers, like everybody who works him is like, oh my gosh, that was so safe and easy. He is so good. I mean, it's definitely
Mm-hmm.
physical, but his mind for the business, how his timing, it was so good. And I liked, I mean, it is all him. It is all him. But I think it was fun to get to work with him to try to get more out of him. And, within like a year or so of working with him, his mannerisms were totally catching up, and he's doing great. He's actually, oh, I can't remember where he's a champ now. he's moved and he's now a champ in a local wrestling thing. It'll come to me, but yeah, he's doing great, and that was a huge blessing. I've taken the principal in the ring too, so
I was
it's been a lot of
it's funny that you took it there because I was going to bring up the principal character, and to be perfectly fair, when I saw this, right, we had chatted a little bit at Primal and a little bit about some of the
Mhm.
stuff that you had done, and I immediately get drawn to Mr. Cliff, who is in Adelaide, Australia. His character is assistant principal, Mr. Cliff.
Oh, nice.
We
Hmm.
have a another gym teacher who is in
Hmm.
Australia. Now we have you as a
Nice.
principal. Dude, I think I'm just going to put
Absolutely.
together the faction and call it the faculty and call it a day and just be an international faction. And
Oh,
because I think that I think that stuff's interesting. And, when I put together the promo pictures and all the stuff for graphics for our channel and all that stuff, when I got yours with the
mhm.
principal and the detention slip, again, I get drawn to Mr. Cliff because that's part of his gimmick. He gives you detention. And
Oh
so
yeah.
it's just easy
Oh yeah.
trope stuff. And then I'm very curious because you seem like you're going to be the kind of guy that's really just you're good outside of doing what's best for the show. You're really going to be engaging the audience and going to be playing into and trying to get whatever kind of heat you can get. So let's talk a little bit about being everybody hates the principal of their school. So this
Oh yeah.
just seems like it's like, heat magnet if you play the cards right. So let's chat a little bit about I don't know, just some experiences you've had with the principal and the crowds that have come with it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, the principal, no matter where I am, the principal immediately gets just major heat. I do everything I can to help. So I've got, not only do I have a megaphone, I have a megaphone with a light on it because, one of the things people always hate is having a bright light flash into their face. And I've got the siren, which I don't use much because I like to talk smack to the crowd. But yeah, it's a matter of, just making it, I don't know, making it, you know, the tough thing with heat is that it's really easy to get that initial heat, but how do you get people to really hate you through it? But also, how do you get them to love to hate you?
Hmm.
So one of the things I do is I don't just give detentions, like literally it's filled out. So like I will assign things about, bad hygiene or not sharing or blah 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 blah. And on the second half, I'll have punishments they can do to get the referral signed off on. So when it comes to like outside of the ring, I'll have so I've had people doing push-ups, doing Pledge of Allegiance, blah blah blah, just playing with the character. And so, I one of the things I do for a gimmick is that you can pay me to give someone a referral at a show, but the price goes up $5 for every referral I do. And so you want to buy my first referral. So someone gets back at you, they're not paying five, they're paying 10. So I make that, I make that playful, I make I make it definitely heel, but I make it playful,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I've only had one time, well, two, but the one I'm going to think about. I- The other thing that's kind of tough is that, some people have had like really traumatic experiences in school, not, and so there's only been one time where I've had like a girl just like, hate me, but like really hate me and just like angry, like she's gonna punch me and blah, 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 blah. And so, I try to take, I mean, some people would just needle her until security has to take her out. And I'm not going to do that. I never want to. I was talking to Vampiro once, and and we were talking about it, he was like, I never want to make money off of someone's trauma. I never want to make people worse than when I meet them. And so, in that case, it was funny. So I kind of, in that case, she was yelling and yelling and yelling and da da da, and just, you know, as things were going to the side, I was like, are you okay? like, and I was doing it kind of like in character. I wasn't baiting her. Are you okay? Are you okay? And she just kind of was like fuming, fuming, fuming. She was like, yeah. And I said, okay, here's your detention. Just like, so I kept it playful, but that's the trick is some guys feel like, oh, I've just got to be a complete jerk at all times. And I've got to get people like like they think it would be a badge of honor to people wanting to like slash their tires in the parking lot or beat them up afterwards. And it's like, you don't have to do that. You don't have
No.
to, you,
See, I was a
you know,
heel
you-
in my day, and keep in mind now we're back 26 years at this point because I turned heel in 2000, and
Mhm,
I just got my heat organically, right? Like I was
mhm,
working in more of a it was like a territory system for real all over the South. We were in Alabama for a day, we were in
nice.
Georgia the next day, we were in Tennessee for like it was literally every Monday we were in Alabama, every Tuesday we were in Atlanta, every Wednesday we were in Nashville, every Thursday we were in the Carolinas, and so forth and so on. Like this was early or late territory ish, if you
Nice.
will. And
Hmm.
like luckily we had the benefit of being in the same place on the same day of the week, but the crowds changed.
Hmm.
So I would always play off of them. That, and I was never afraid if the match wasn't getting over or we weren't getting the reaction that I think we were getting. I was never afraid to ad lib and play a chicken shit heel, and I would run into the crowd
Oh
and
yeah.
run through the rows, and I'd get my baby to
Hmm.
chase me. We'd come back over there. Worked every city. It worked. It'd come over the crowd, trip on a banana peel. Babyface gets his shine. Oh my God, they're right there with us. And it was just it's a different level. But I agree in the sense of like I would never go out of my way to intentionally like just destroy somebody who is already destroyed, because it is truth. Shit happens, and life
Oh
happens,
yeah.
and you don't ever know what the future holds for somebody. And on the backside of that, in the real world, I always say this, man: a random act of kindness goes a long way. It can go a
It
long way.
does.
Um,
It does. You never know the battle someone else is having.
eh,
So
very
you
true.
never know.
Very true. And I'm one of those cats that I'm an open book. Like I always tell guys, especially in
Mhm,
the wrestling business, like I got out because I fell into the dark side of wrestling and I got hooked on drugs
mhm,
and had got very bad OD and should not be sitting here, but I am. And I didn't know why for 20 years. And it hit me about a year ago,
mhm,
and it was our platform. It was when our platform started to really get a lot of notoriety real quick from guys just saying thank you. Thank you for watching our stuff.
mhm.
Thank you for putting it out there. Thank you for, and then I don't know how to take compliments. That's another thing with me. So I'm like, how to, well, you guys are doing it, you know. I should be thanking y'all because y'all are the guys and gals that are out there that are entertaining us. We just happen to find it. And if this is the small cog in the wheel that we can play, and this has actually reinvented my love for independent wrestling, is this platform. And I say, I know why I'm here. I
Mhm.
figured it out. So now, since we've changed I know why I'm here, let's turn this around and put it on everybody else. We've quadrupled in size. And now
Mhm.
that tells me that we're doing something right, that this is what we're supposed to be doing and how we're supposed to be doing it. And it's so crazy. Life is crazy, really, when you sit back and think about it. But to be just a small piece of kind of the evolution of what independent wrestling can be when you're working with like-minded people, and that brings me to Primal and Millennium. Like I think the world of what these guys are doing, and you're attached to it. It's you guys are making a difference, and you're churning out what is going to be the next level of competitors that are going to carry your scene for the next several decades. I'm talking about names like Navarro, Angel Navarro. I'm talking about Jake Redondo. I'm talking about Anthony Zalea. I'm talking about Dustin Daniels and Busio. And the list
Mhm.
really goes on, and that's in two companies. Two
Mhm.
companies. Jake Mays, another one. Just there's so much stuff going on that's so great to be a part of in just a small way, in just a small way. And with you and Primal, Odyssey has always been the commissioner figure. He's been the guy that has welcomed us to just
Mhm.
about all the shows. You've been the guy that's had to get involved in several hairy situations. But
Mhm.
as Commissioner Odyssey and as the guy who's been calling the shots, man, you gotta love the overall growth. And I'm only going to speak for what I have physically watched over the last several months. Going back to Summer Surge, it's gotta be it's gotta be Chef's Kiss because this momentum seems to be really happening. And I'm watching the shows. I'm seeing the interactions with the live chats on the shows. I'm trying to get that number one position when I can when I'm streaming on the shows, but I keep getting beat by super fans, and it's just great to see. So from your perspective, seeing this growth and seeing this boom, man, because I'm telling you, oh man, you guys got to be hiding some more talent too. And I know that they're coming, but we can't talk about any of that. But what can you talk about? Let's talk
No.
about the boom that's been going on with Primal and where we're at.
Well, I think one of the reasons for Primal's success, and I think one of the reasons why the shows are high quality is just our emphasis on being a school first. Like we are really focused on making sure our guys are training. And I there's this extra level that happens when you see someone who's training consistently. And I think that I've been to many places that have said they're a school first, but Primal is the first one that I've been a part of that really they're concentrating on that. And what often happens in these places is that you have a good run with a couple of characters who kind of get hot, and then once those characters are done, where do you go? And with Primal's emphasis as a school, we're done promotion too every 2 weeks. Primal Rage is happening, but we are constantly, you know, working people, and it's starting to happen now where some of our regulars are moving on to other shows, which is by design. I mean, that's what the thing is. And I know some people like to be their own island. It's like, oh, you can only work with us, and we're like, yeah, we want you to be able to work anywhere. We want you to be able to work at the highest levels. And so, I think that's one of the big reasons for the boom. And we do have we have some amazing athletes. You mentioned some of them. Adrian Knight, I would also throw in there.
Absolutely.
Incredible. I don't tell them I said this, but we've got some amazing female wrestlers
I
that we
hear.
haven't,
I
and
hear.
we have in my mind, I haven't told them this, but we have a fatal five. We have five young women who are, and this is nothing to get. I mean, Zara's on her own level. This is like
Sure.
outside of Zara. I
These are
have
homegrown.
I'm very, I'm fortunate. I mean, Primal really the work that J2 and everyone is doing. We've got some women who I think are going to be incredible, and I can't unveil them yet.
Nope.
But yeah, if you like female wrestling, keep your eyes peeled because they're going to be amazing against each other, and just for their longevity is we're making sure they can work with the big boys too. We're making sure that their move sets and they're able to hang. But I cannot wait for this next year and some of the matches that we'll be able to present.
So you are definitely not the first to tease the female talent that is brewing at the Primal Academy,
Mhm.
and not to put any pressure on you ladies, but I'm having high expectations after what I'm hearing. I don't know names. I don't want to
Mhm.
know names. I want to see it when it happens because that means that my reaction is authentic, and that's what
Mhm.
when we talk about our channel. That's where we started. It was literally it was just watching wrestling and reacting to it. And
Mhm.
even to this day, like if I go to a live event, there's a run sheet. I don't want to fucking see it. I don't want to know because I want to be surprised just like everybody else does. And I think you guys
Mhm.
are really doing some good stuff there. And our relationship has really just started with Primal specifically. We had an opportunity to do sponsorship for the Con Flacco match not too long
Thank you.
ago. That was a no-brainer. Like I just hit up J2. I said, "Can we do something here?" Like I don't know if you've ever done this before or not. If you haven't, here's just what I'm thinking. And I just think that
Mhm.
it's just a way to say thank you. Like it really is at the end of the day, and it's a way for me to really let you guys know that like y'all are a part of our platform. Like I consider affiliate's a pretty big deal. So I will always try and look out, and I'll always try and look after. And to be perfectly fair, man, and Flacco's another name that should have been on that list that we're talking about earlier of young talent that is coming
Mhm.
up and
Oh,
coming
yeah.
and making a really big impact. Like, this is really good stuff. And I know that it's
Mhm.
just getting started. And that's what's so kid in a candy store to me as a guy who sits and watches it, and being able to work with to a degree. I talked a little bit about chapter 5 earlier as we were getting ready to bring you on the show. J2 is going to be here. The Pump Line are going to be here. Javi Baja is going to be here. Anthony Zelaya is going to be here. That's by design. Like, that's,
Mhm.
we have an opportunity to put some of your guys in front of people who haven't seen them before. And we just got the most gratifying thing happened at chapter 4. A company hit us up, a couple of companies that I work really good with, had the same 6 people, same 6 guys, and was like, "Can you put us in touch? We can't do anything right now, but we definitely want to get the ball rolling and get the ball in motion so that we can bring some of them in at different times." Blah blah blah. Like, hey, my
Mhm.
name's Paul. That's between y'all. Here's your intro. That's the fucking win. That's the
Mhm.
makes every penny I've lost on live events worth it, because it just did something for 6 pieces of talent. Now we can do this
Mhm.
for other people too, because that tells me they're watching. It tells me that they're paying attention. It tells me that they believe in what I'm trying to do. We just get a couple of
Mhm.
those, a little bit of attention on a couple of the guys from Primal, ball game. It'll open up the doors to do so many different things. And there's a whole world of possibilities out here right now, especially when you're with like-minded people doing like-minded things. That's what it all boils down to me anyway. And I do think that we're just getting started. Revenge literally was just a couple of weeks ago. Has a match of the year candidate that's on my sheets. It's the dog collar match with Rebel and Jake Mays. Fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. It was a war. It was personal. It was wild, but it was also history being made inside the compound with a first dog
Mhm.
collar match. Like, it's almost like I go back to the ladder match where Jesus Garcia, that had Rebel on, and I told him, I said, you guys did 3 things there. You had the first ever ladder match, you crowned your first ever coastal champion, but more importantly, you made a star. That was Jesus' breakout moment and his breakout performance to plant his flag. You don't get stuff like that often. And with like Anthony and you guys being specific, you have all these talents that you're witnessing debuts for. You're
Mhm.
you're giving them that moment and you're giving them the opportunity, man. And there's nothing that compels to being there with so many talented debuts. So with all these people that you guys have got hidden away and the Fatal Five, if you will, coming,
Mhm.
what have been some of your personal primal moments that stand out? Maybe not even primal in general. What are some of your standout moments to you right now within your career that you've built so far?
I think when it comes to Primal, I think one of the things that I'm just proud of is how many stars we've been able to make so quickly. And I really like, as a show, you're always helping to make the next, you know, get the next guy going. And credit to the Primal booking team for doing that. And I loved my I loved my interactions with Jeremiah Fresh as that forever champion. In real life, I'm a high school teacher, and so Orion Odyssey and Jeremiah Fresh did have a blow off. We had a great event at my school to raise money for my school, and we had over 300 people there watching that match, and that probably is one of my highlights because my daughter got to be a part of it. So she's 11 now, and she saw an event. She saw Ryan wrestle for the first time like a year ago because she was so little when I started, and she said, "Hey, I want to walk you down to the ring." And I said, "Yeah, oh, definitely." And in my mind, I'm like, "Baby girl, you have no idea what's about to happen." So she did, unbeknownst to her, I did a little bit of training with her, and she got to be in that match. And of course, Orion Odyssey wouldn't be able to beat Jeremiah Fresh on his own. My daughter, who was going by Oriana Odyssey, jumped in and got to help, and the crowd absolutely loved it. So I've gone in, when it comes to moments, I've been loving Jeremiah Fresh. I think Jake Redondo and I have also been doing things a different dynamic, which I'm very proud of. The dynamic between Jeremiah Fresh and I, definitely different than a face with Jake Redondo. Um, that's been great. I think when I look back at other things, I loved, you know, if you don't know who Jordan Cruz is, Jordan Cruz
Hmm.
is now with Championship Wrestling of Hollywood, and incredible guy, incredible wrestler. I've gotten to share the ring with him. I got to share the ring with Ray Rosas.
Yep.
That looked like right before I got really sick with COVID. That was possibly going to be Orion's last match was that. So that was another moment. And yeah, I think another person who I think has just blown up. So I don't think I'll ever get a chance to finish the story with him. Is there's this guy named Judge Joe Dredd, who is an incredible, I believe he's with IZW right now. He's an incredible wrestler. And a couple times he and the principal were supposed to face each other, and the principal, of course, didn't want to die, and so I figured ways around. But I don't think it'll ever happen. But yeah, I would love to, have finish that story with Joe at some point. But yeah, and I think kind of to build off what you said as well, I when you were talking about being like a small cog in the wheel, it's like, again, I got it. I've been doing the best I can. I've loved the opportunities I've gotten. I got to wrestle for Delirious when he was the booker of ROH way too early in my career before, but I got to work with him. Gabe Sapolsky has seen me work and, at WWE, um, you know, but those are like super long shots for someone like me. And just that I get to be a part of like Javi Baja's story. I was one of the first people to book him, and I booked him against Fatal at a time when he wasn't getting a match like that. And I was like, no, 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 Javi can do this. Like, that is where I see a lot of joy, is that like I get to be a part, I get to be a part of other people's stories. And like I'm a cog in the wheel, but it's still like I just love professional wrestling so much, you know what I mean? Just to be
Yes.
that part, I just, I think another highlight for me has just been, it might be unlike other guests you have, but it's kind of the stuff behind the scenes. I got to be training with Dominic Mysterio before he signed with the WWE.
Yep.
And, those, and what I'll tell you something about Dom, which is amazing, because like when I met him, he'd already done Lucha Underground like on the side. He'd already worked with WWE. I got to have several, just regular conversations with him normally, but like he found out my background, and he would be asking me like acting questions.
Hmm.
I mean, it's like nobody compared to him. One of the reasons he's so good, is I remember when he was, he had trained with Lance Storm, and he was training here in San Diego. And but he found out my background, and so we would talk a little bit about some of that stuff. And I gave him the what was that, Upright Citizens Brigade improv handbook, and he was like, cool, and like, again, I zero credit,
Hmm.
zero credit. WWE, I'm sure has
But you was
any
a
acting
cog in
coach
the
you want,
wheel. That's what I mean.
but
That's what
I
it
just,
is.
it was just like, so I'm super excited to see that, and like, again, no one will ever see it. I don't know, but just like the conversations I've had with CJ Tino, I might not get to be the star, but I got to have a match with Tariq Tarvos in front of
Mhm.
Gabe Sapolsky, and CJ was also a part of that, and getting to talk to him about how he's forming his character, and at that time he was talking about going to New Japan and going through their training and stuff like that, and so I've always, I mean, I'm a teacher by trade. I mean, I'm one of those guys who always try to help people be better, having talked to me. Having, if there's anything I can do to help, if there's any introduction I can make, it's all on you. I just, just love helping, dude. I just love, if there's anything I've learned that I can pass on, take it or leave it. It's the way, it's just as a side note, that's how you stay friends as actors, just so you know. Like when you're
Yeah.
like, if you've got to compete against everybody and you're like gonna fret over every single little audition, and you're not gonna have any friends, because you're the way auditions work, you got to be fans of your friends, and your friends you'll beat them out for some jobs, and you'll beat them out. So it's just, you just got to enjoy the ride. As many opportunities as come your way.
Well, you said something just a second ago that I want to touch on because it involves your daughter. I think that is so cool that you got to have that moment with her at your school. Like in the real world, you're getting
Mhm.
to have this, but you got to share that moment with her, and that's a moment that she's not going to forget. She's not gonna forget it, and
No.
it's just gonna be it's gonna be one of those things, dude. I think that is of everything. I think that is the coolest moment. And so, like with my husband is he's very supportive of
Mhm.
what I'm doing and trying to do here. And so I tried to sucker him in at our last live event. I was like, "Hey, do you want to give me the belt and come in the ring and give me the belt?" And he was like, "I don't know if
Mhm.
I want to do that because we're live, yada yada." I was like, "Dude, it's 5 minutes. Like you can just come in and hand me the belt." He said no at the end of the day, and he's like, "Well, who's going to do it? Nobody. It's going to be in the corner." Well, I'll come. No, you said no. He said, "Well, why were you pushing me so much?" And I was like, "Well, because I was going to introduce you to our platform. That's exactly what I was going to do. I was going to get you in the ring, and
Oh, nice.
I was going to embarrass you and say, guys, this is the individual who helped support this whole ordeal of what we're trying to do and how we're trying to get there." But he shot me down. But that was going to be my moment. Is going to be like, "Hey, I got I had this moment to share it with somebody that I love and somebody that I care about, and I know that may not mean a lot to a lot of people out there listening, but if you put yourself in the perception of Mr. Odyssey and that's his daughter, like I think that's cool. I think that's a bonding moment, and it's something that's not gonna be forgotten."
Yeah, I gotta say two other names too, that as we were talking, I was realizing, I will forever get to say I'm the first person to book Yassine Khan. He did one of my first events before and he was outstanding. And the other part, like you said, like helping and like sharing the spotlight, it was important to me. So I'm guessing Xander Phillips. I think Xander Phillips has done your show,
Oh
if I remember
yes.
correctly.
Oh yes.
I made sure that Xander at the time was a super heel everywhere he went, and for my show, I was like, hey, I want you guys to. He was in a group called The Block, which was a great tag team. And I was like, I want you guys to be faces, because everywhere you go, you're heels. And yeah, it's just been amazing to watch the leaps and jumps that Xander has done. Like the kids at my school loved him the first time. I brought him back the second year, and just, I think it's what pro wrestling is about. And like, as you said earlier, I mean, that's one of the things that attracted me to it. Was It's like, I know it was fake, but it was like, it was your chance to be a superhero. The
Mm-hmm.
world is so gray and difficult. And like, as much as I can empower other people, whether it's in the ring or like by bringing them incredible talents like Xander. So like, so the gay and trans kids at my school see someone who's like, spectacular, in the ring, and can put their shoe, put themselves in his shoes. Or just as a fan, it's just getting to watch these guys, and it's, you know, there's nothing. The interaction of pro wrestling with the audience is just something special you don't get in plays and movies. When if you're in a room with the match going on, the wrestlers won't let you know usually, but you're part of that match. Like you are,
Mm-hmm.
and I need to say, I don't remember if I told you, but when you came out to Primal, with Dallas Dash, who's, by the way, incredible athlete. You've got such a good find there. Dude, I don't know if people know. Do your listeners know what a great corner man you are? Oh my gosh,
So
during Dallas match, you had everybody, dude. You were banging the apron. You
I
were
have a
like,
philosophy, and
uh,
my philosophy when it comes to managing, and keep in mind that was the first time I'd managed outside of we did it We did it Saturday at the MPW show. But
Hmm.
at the end of the day, like, if it's quiet, no, I
Hmm.
will do whatever the fuck I need to do to get some kind of engagement going, and then I'm not going to stop. And if I stop and they get quiet, we're going to do it all over again. But I also know how to read the room, and that's just from being in the ring. So like I was
Hmm.
waiting for the moments. I was waiting on them, J2 in Dallas, and when they created the moment, I would do what I needed to do to get the
Hmm.
investment. And if we can keep them invested, it's a win. And for
Oh
Dallas,
yeah.
what you guys don't know, that was confidence was restored in Dallas that weekend. He had a good match with Kodo on Friday night. It wasn't the
Hmm.
best, but
Okay.
it
All right.
was an eye opener for him. Like he needed
Hmm.
it, right? Like it was one of
Yeah.
those. He came out and worked
Hmm.
Dustin on Saturday, had a hell of a match with Dustin, and I credit Dustin and Chuck Mercer. Fuck Chuck in character and on camera, guys. But they really took care of Dallas, and Dallas in his own
Hmm.
right took care of himself, and they had a really good match. And the opportunity with J2 popped up. Devious Cass was
Hmm.
supposed to be in that spot, and Devious couldn't
Oh,
make the
okay.
trip. And
Hmm.
J2, I was like, if you want to use either, was going to have Skrilla and I was going to have Dallas, and then Skrilla couldn't make the trip. The Dallas was
Hmm.
there, and that was we got in the car on the way home and drove the 3-hour trip back, and he was like, I got it. I understand.
Hmm.
I got it now. And that was
Yeah.
all you guys. That was him being in the ring with people out there. That was guys like J2 and
Hmm.
Jeremiah Fresh and Michael Hopkins and Danny Devine and Daniel Moon and
Hmm.
Brendan Devine, all pulling him aside and giving him on the spot feedback and helping him.
Hmm.
Again, that's why I say if it comes to if I don't get involved with another company in California, I am perfectly fine with Millennium Pro Wrestling and Primal Pro Wrestling. Perfectly fine. Because not only
Hmm.
do you guys take care of us and we take care of you. I didn't J2 didn't have to give him a spot, but he did. Dane Devine didn't have to give him a spot, but he did. Like, so that kind of shit goes a long way and it means a lot, especially when the individual in question learned from it. If he didn't learn anything
Hmm.
from it, then I might have a different answer. But knowing what he took away, knowing everything that came with it and what's come after it, yeah, I say Southern California is very instrumental. And on a backside to that, both J2 and Divine, again, the biggest gratification when they told Dallas that when you're out here, you have a home.
Hmm.
Both companies.
Hmm.
My job is done. You see what I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah.
now, who's next? Who's next that we can do something like this with? And this is where I say we can all work together and we can really change the dynamic here. I'm not saying everybody's going to get opportunity everywhere. It's not going to happen. But I think we all know the ones that we can really do something with and really push that, be that cog and help them
Hmm.
get to the next level, help them get to the next spot. That's all I can ask for. It truly is. And it's like when you and I met, when we met face to face. I will never forget when we were talking in the back lot. You'd ask for hey, I'd love to come on and do the show. But you know what? That's not what even struck out. What struck out at me was what came after that was, I know it's a young man's game. And I looked at you and I stopped you. Do you remember what I said to you? Everybody has a story. All of them are
Oh, there
different
we
and everyone is welcome on my platform. So it just goes to show
Hmm.
I'm here for you and I'm here for you guys. I said I know why I exist. It is to put everyone out there that I believe in. And I believe in you and I believe in what Primal is doing. I will do anything I can for you guys. Anything. Within reason. I will make it happen. And that's not because it's not because I have to. It's because you guys hugged back. And not everybody does. So when you find the ones that do, you invest and you go all the way. You don't half-ass it. And I know that with what you guys are building, there's so much brighter things coming. And let's talk, if we got a few minutes to talk a little bit more about what's coming up with Primal that we can discuss. Any teasers, anything that we can put out there for the audience. I know that we're on the road now. Obviously, Revenge is in the rear view. Resets
Mhm.
hit this Saturday, excuse me, this Saturday afternoon, evening over here, if I'm not mistaken. What's going down?
Man, I so the things I can't talk about, of course, are every 2 weeks. Another thing that I need to hype is in June we're going to be doing back to Bayside. We're going to go to
Yep.
Bayside Brewery. We're super excited. We're going to be working with the Krusty Crew is going to be coming in, and they're an amazing tag team. They're current SoCal Pro tag champs. They're incredible. I've known them for years. They're such incredible pro wrestlers.
Under the
And
radar
we
right
have,
now. Sorry, I mean to step
oh
on you,
my
but when
God,
you mentioned Krusty Crew, that is the Pump
yes.
Line are the ones who turned me onto them, and I cannot
Oh,
thank them enough for doing so. I now
yeah.
I'm stoked for this. I'm stoked for this. I didn't mean to step on you. What else you got?
No, it's it. And we're about to start a new cycle. We're bringing a couple things back, and I'll be making the big announcement on Saturday, but what I announced Saturday is going to be what's driving us for the next couple months, and it was one of the most successful things we've ever done. And it is going to bring some new people to the forefront. And it doesn't, the good slash bad thing about wrestling is it never stops, man. There's always a show next week. There's always moving, and we're so blessed to have an abundance of guys who are just hungry to grab those spots. And so I have a way to kind of help some of those people rise to the top. But you got to watch on Saturday. You got to watch on Saturday to see what
I
we've
I
got coming up.
I think I know what you're throwing down, and I'm totally going to mention it off the air, and I'm not going to say it if I'm right or if I'm wrong, but I think I know what you're talking about, and if I do,
Yeah,
it has changed career trajectories, if I'm not mistaken, within the realm of Primal Pro. Let
it
me ask you
has.
this, because I think I can tell that you really love the ass everything that goes into professional wrestling. What would you like to see out of Primal over the next 12 months or so? I mean, the growth is here. It's definitely
Mhm,
happening, and it's moving. Where would you
mhm.
like to see it over the next year?
I think over the next year, I think I've already teased, I think the one area that we haven't developed yet is a female division essentially. And so I am looking forward and we'll see that as a success. I want that to be established. It is so hard for women to find good quality matches in places that respect them and will train them, respect them as they should and give them good opportunities. I want Primal to be one of those places that women know that if they come work for us, they're going to have a quality opponent, they're going to have a good match and it's going to be good. Another thing that I'm really looking forward to is we are at the very beginning stages of potentially looking for some bigger venues to do our is to show what we've got and what we can do. So my hope is that we basically work on a season schedule, kind of like on a quarterly, premium event style. And I would love and we're in discussions for there to be some bigger venues that we're going to be in, hopefully. So we'll see how those go. So I would like one of those to at least one of those future events in the year to be in a bigger spot because I feel like the quality is there. I mean, I think, you know, Primal really tries hard to have complete athletes, like people who are very good in the ring. Obviously, you got to be in shape, you got to be able to be in the ring. We have Ario Amin, our announcer, who is spectacular. I will be very surprised if he stays with us in the coming years. He is top notch in my book, and he's been starting to get out there. But he's been doing promo classes and character development. He also has an acting background, and so I feel like we're doing everything we can to create these really well-rounded athletes. So there's going to be good stories, you know, well performed with really good professional wrestling. And so, your platform is part of getting the word out. I feel like we've got a good product that we're putting there. We're trying so hard to be, to be consistent, to be consistent and to make sure that we're not resting on, a lot of places kind of get stuck on one or two guys. And we're trying, you know, if we're doing our job right, our guys shouldn't be sticking around. You know what I mean? If
Yep.
we're doing our job right, they should be moving on. And anytime we can get Zara, we love to have her. But there's a reason that she's been in other spots. CJ Tino, another guy. We like, both of them were at New Japan. Moving on, we've had a couple other guys who have moved on. Just because it's like they're bigger now, and we want that for them. You know what I mean? Like Javi Baja had his first crash,
Hmm.
a month or two. So proud of that guy. And
Triple A as
so
well.
yeah, yeah, AAA. So it's like, we're working so hard to try to, have consistently high shows and be a spot where, you have complete athletes coming out and not just a few. Like, and so we're working on, I know, I've mentioned some of them. I'll go over some others if you want to highlight, but we have some guys who have more to show. You know what I mean? And we want them to, and we want to give them platforms to do it. And, you know, make some incredible pro wrestling for people to take an hour or two off on a Sunday or Saturday, you know. Oh, the other thing that you mentioned, like goals. One of the things that I think we're doing a good job with, and we're continuing is, um, I don't know if this is, I'm going to bring it up anyway. I love Chase Mansfield, our
Yes.
commentator, and like
See,
Ario Amin,
I'm so glad, and
and
we're gonna
like,
loop production into this too because that's where I was going next was to show some love on
oh yeah,
production. So let's talk about Ario, Chase, and the whole production crew that
oh my
is
gosh.
kicking ass and taking names right now.
Well, and one of the things we're trying to do on purpose is that if you watch our broadcast, is we have of course Chase, we have Ario, we have myself, and we have Remy LeBeau, and so we intentionally are rotating those people in the spots. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like, and that's part of the production is we're I like the movement. Like, if you have the people who can do it, sometimes people just we never just throw people on commentary, but some places, it's like it makes it more difficult, but we like, you know, I love the interchange of different personalities doing different matches with each other, especially if you're gonna do the investment to watch a show for an hour or two. Of course they're different matches, but having different commentators who have, we have four different styles and they all work well together, but we're not gonna, as good as nachos are, we're not giving you nachos every single time. We're giving you nachos, then pizza, and we're trying to make it as enjoyable to listen and to watch as possible. So, I think that's another thing that's often overlooked, but the work those guys are doing. Chase is such a good play-by-play guy, and he literally has a book. He mentions the book every once
Yep.
in a while, but
I've
like the
seen it.
professional dedication is he literally will write down. And so, the reason why it sounds like such a story and why he's the anchor is it is a story, and he's not someone who forgets what happened 2 weeks ago or 6 weeks ago or 12 weeks ago. He literally has a book that he reviews before before the match,
I've seen it. Yep.
before the event, and he kind of goes through it, and yeah, and so it's a lot of fun, and um I really like how amongst the commentators we're trying very hard to lift each other up. You know what I mean? Like, there's, as they figure out who we want on each match, it's like, we're making sure each other have opportunities. You know what I mean? And
Absolutely.
I've recommended those guys to other places. Like, I've got a beautiful wife and daughter, and I love wrestling, but I'm married with a beautiful daughter. I can't do every show. You know what I mean? And so, I love that building that capacity too, because that's the thing is you come in, we've done so much work and you come in and watch a match, some people love murder gymnastics and you can just sit them down and they'll just get involved with the murder gymnastics. But, the vast majority of fans, they want to know the story. They want to know who that guy is, and why are they fighting? And so, that's where commentary can jump in, help tell those stories, help, the commentary is never the star, but we're the spotlight. You know what I mean?
We're
It's like
painting the picture, brother. That's what we're
yeah,
doing. We're just
and so
painting it.
that's one of the things that we pride ourselves on. And we've actually, in Primal's a complete school. We've been training commentators, we've been training referees. Juan Montano, I mean, Chad Rico is the OG, and he's so good with GCW and other places. We're fortunate he comes back every once in a while to be a part of our shows, and that's one of the things that we want Primal to be. We want it to be a place that, like, oh, you want to be a part of professional wrestling, let's show you how it can look, and if you have a different, you know if you want to learn about being a commentator or a referee or something like that, or production, Jose with our production. And I gotta say, Garrett Hunter, who is with Mega 64. I don't know. I know that's not big in the pro wrestling space, but there's a huge podcast video guys that predate YouTube called Mega 64 here in San Diego. They do great work, and Garrett does production for them, and he's graciously enough come over to help us as well, and to help with Jose, to try to make that live feed work, so people can watch it. And it's those chyrons don't make themselves. The music coming on at the right time doesn't just happen as much as it magically appears to. It's like we have a lot of people who, and I think the proof is in the pudding. Is like a lot of these guys are starting to move on. Some of our camera guys are starting to move on because they've learned from us, and we'd love to have them when we can, but you know what, Chris, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
So, they're moving on, just like it's like some of our wrestlers and other people are. So it's exciting.
I'm seeing that some of the most successful places out there right now are schools, and then they're doing it all, training all aspects of it, camera, refereeing, like you do it all, commentator, it's everything. And I like that. We didn't have that in my time. It wasn't there. It was all, if you're going to be wrestling, you're in ring, and that was kind of it. And even like when you talk about commentary and floating people in and out, I was a wild card at Tag Team Turmoil. Chase and Ario both asked me if I wanted to do anything, and I was like, well, I'm there. What do y'all want? Like, I'll do whatever. I don't give a shit. As long as it's benefiting what you have going on. And then, you want to do the Turmoil? I said, well, I'm a tag team guy, so yes. So I got to sit down with Chase and Ario, and then obviously Chase, he called Chapter 3 and did such a fantastic job. Something that I try and do at our live events is I try and make them special for everybody, including the talent, including everybody, the fans. If I find a kid that, if I know it's your first time, like, who's your favorite guy? Let me go and get him. We're gonna meet him, and blah blah blah. Well, with Chase, what I didn't know at the time, I do now, is, and even with our announcers here in Florida, and when we go to Texas, and when we're going to be going to Georgia, and there's a lot of places that we're headed to here in the next 6 months. Just watch out. Nice. I give the announcers, and I give the ring announcers, like, I give them a walkout, right? Like, it's like, hey man, what are you coming out to? Does Danny have your music? And he was like, what? I was like, yeah, like you're getting an entrance. Like, do they have your music? He's like, no. I was like, well, you probably need to make that. He was like, I don't even have any. I was like, well, what do you want to come out to? And so it was a whole thing. But he got to do a little while. He's like, nobody's ever done that. And I was like, well, there you go, bud. Like, but it was one of those things. Like, I could tell, like, it really meant something. And I'm just like, I was like, yeah, dude. Like, he was like, you do that? Yeah. Do that for everybody. Yeah. You go out there and kill it. You're a part of the show. We don't have it without you, dude. Like, Yes, go and make
Mhm.
it happen. But it was just one of those little moments that you don't ever know when they're going to happen, but it's that kind of stuff, man, that really makes me happy, and being able to make a difference, and just make a difference. And by the way, I worked twice that night in SoCal, and I only got paid once. Tell J2 he owes me. No, I'm just
I'll let them know.
but I had a blast, man. I had a blast being in the Primal compound, and that's something else that when I was talking to Anthony earlier, and as of course I said something to Rebel and Frankie too, and I'll tell you, J2 had asked me on Friday night. He was like, "Yeah, are you excited?" And I was like, "Well, I'm really more excited about getting down to San Diego." And he was like, "Yeah,"
Mhm.
and I said, "Yeah, because I want to get into the compound. That's the first time I'll be in the building. That's different than watching on television and watching here at the house when I'm live streaming and we're watching what's going on. It's a different vibe. It's a different area." Said I've been inside this building. We were at Millennium. Said I've been in here before. I knew what to expect here. I knew what the vibe was going to be. I knew what the building was going to be. I've been here. I've smelled it. I blah 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 blah. Have not done that with the compound. And I'm gonna tell you something. When I walked in, Jason's like, "What do you think?" And I'm like, I think I'm in the right spot. Everybody there from the talent that I met, and I met some of the trainees, and I met a lot of the trainees, and I tried to meet everybody. And I don't know if I may have missed one or two, and if I did, I apologize. But I also try to stay out of the way too, because this is show day, and this is, I always tell the guys, even here in Florida, when I come and I pop up in a show, and they're like, "Well, you didn't say it." Hey, well, that's not my time or my place either. If you're at a show and you've got merch, you're trying to make money, and I'm not trying to take that time. Now, if you're just standing there twiddling your thumbs, absolutely, I'm gonna come up and talk to you. But if you got no, I'm not gonna take away that time, right? Because that's
Mhm.
your time. But I always find a way to let you know I was there, or I saw you, or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Going into the compound and meeting everybody there was fantastic. I really enjoyed what I saw. I saw a lot of people working hard and trying to just do the best thing for the show. I saw the talent meeting. I just was a fly on the wall and just watching, right? Just listening. It's something that really impressed me, and I'm glad you mentioned his name. It was Ario. And it was when
Mhm.
he gave a little bit of a little reminders, like, "Hey, remember guys, like this camera is going to be over here. We're going to be looking for it was one of those things that was just kind of like everybody was sound, everybody was professional, but he chimed in at the last minute. Oh, by the way, don't forget. So just like one of those kind of situations. And I was like, man, that's just an extra layer. And then of course being able to see the debut of Anthony. I always think being there and being present when people debut in the ring, you get one of those. It's really
Mhm.
special. I had the moment to talk to him after his match. And of course, I had a conversation with him earlier and we kind of revisited it. But I just walked up to him and I thanked him. And I was like, brother, thank you. You only get one. He's like, no, thank you for being here. I was like, no, you don't get it, but you will. It's like, you only get one of these. And I got to be here for it. I was
Mhm.
in town and I was here to see your debut. It's like whether you realize it or not, we are connected, and we're going to be connected for the longevity of your career and then some. Because I got to witness something that only a handful of people at that time got to witness live. Plenty of people got to see it out there, online. Not all those people were in the building when it happened. And I was like, you don't understand what that
Mhm.
means to me as someone who loves professional wrestling. It's just one of those things. And for you, you've got so many debuts that are coming and you're going to be able to experience that very moment. And that makes me a little jealous, to be perfectly fair. But but it also makes me happy, man, because I know that the people that are coming through Primal, they're coming through good hands. And that's what's most important at the end of the day, is that these guys and girls that are coming through are getting correct training. They're getting to learn from legitimate fucking people who really do have the best intentions for training and getting these guys and girls in ring ready so that they can follow their dreams and they can follow what
Mhm.
whatever their heart's content within professional wrestling. So Odyssey, this has been a great conversation, man. This surface scratcher has been so fun for me, and I've really enjoyed
Mhm.
picking your brain. I didn't intend to go 90 minutes, but here we are. And at the end of the day, it's been a great time to just sit and chat. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything you want to plug? Anything on any of the floor is yours, sir?
Thank you so much. Well, number one, whenever I do anything like this, I need to give a huge shout out to my wife, Corey Hammond, who is amazing. Um, Spousal support is so crucial. And she is an amazing actress on her own with improv and other things. And I'm her number one fan, and she's mine. So I always got to say, number one, thank you to my wife Corey and my daughter Isla, who allow me to do this. My If you like my personality, my wife and I have a podcast, He Saw, She Saw, completely not pro wrestling related. But if you love movies, I watch a chick flick and she watches like a Marvel movie or something gory. And we talk about it. But my biggest thing is I just want to thank, I would like to thank J2 Mattioli at Primal Pro Wrestling for the great work he's doing. I want to thank Jeff Dino at SoCal Pro, who has gone in behind the principal character. I really appreciate it. And a guy who I don't see, two more guys I just want to plug as well. Um, he goes by Mr. James Does It All. He's with Valley Wrestling Connection. He's been very helpful to the principal. He was the one with kind of got me hooked up with Joe Dredd for a while. And kind of the last guy I want to mention is Chris Disney at One Ring Circus, who's doing some excellent stuff, who uses a lot of Primal guys and others as well. I don't think he gets the credit he deserves either for how much he loves pro wrestling. But yeah, if you guys haven't watched Primal, May May 9th, the day before Mother's Day. So, we normally are on a Sunday, but hang out with your moms and celebrate her on those day. But May 9th, Orion Odyssey has a big announcement, which is going to drive our show for the next couple of months. And yeah, thank you again to all the guys at Primal, in the ring, outside the ring. Um, I'm just a cog in the wheel, like you said, and I'm just so blessed to be a part of it. And thank you for for giving me the floor and bringing me on your show, Chris. All the work you're doing is so helpful, and we really, really appreciate it.
It's just the smallest things that I can do, brother. I'm grateful for everything that I get, because I shouldn't be sitting here. I shouldn't be here, but I am. And now we just have to figure out, how do we make it work? And there's a way. I know that there is. My gut tells me that there is. And from what I've seen over the last 2 years, we started in Australia, we went to the UK, we've gone to South America, we're in the States, we're in Canada. The only place that we're not is in Japan. And I blame Logan Paul for that. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. The worst thing in the world is when I get guys on the show that are actively out there and that want to travel. I want to go to Japan. It's literally the only place that I know of nobody. Everywhere else I can try and help, but I'm like, I'm trying. But this has been great, man. I really enjoy what's happening here and what's going on. And I know that as far as our platform and Primal, we're just getting started. I want to tell you this. You get a Primal show into the bigger building, and I will make a trip, and I will get out there myself to be a part of it.
Thanks.
And do whatever we need to do, whatever we can do to help facilitate and or make some things happen. That's the name of the game. Guys, I appreciate you if you're out there watching us live on Twitch, X, YouTube. We couldn't do it without you guys. And while you're here, the easiest way that you can show your support is by sharing, and subscribing. If you want to check out what Mr. Odyssey has going on as Orion or Principal, check him out at PR Keith over on Instagram. Hit the follow button. Share stuff. That's how this platform started. That's how we gained our momentum and our traction. We just started sharing the stuff, because what we have seen over the last 2 years is that you don't know who's watching, when they're watching, or how they're watching. But if they see it, it can change people's lives. And that is the name of the game. For my guest today, Mr. Orion Odyssey, I am Chris Page. And this is where we'll say, we'll see you next time.